Hey everybody, it's Dan here for the pizza fan video. We posted the pizza video this past weekend. We got a ton of awesome feedback on it, lots of questions. But I want to start off before the questions with a couple of other folks' entries into the early pizza category. So I talked about doing like English muffin pizza or frozen pizza and like putting real cheese on top of it. So there's a couple really good ones that I wanted to highlight. The first one is my first one. I was 8 years old. English muffin, great. Tomato paste, a goodly sprinkle of dried Italian seasoning and garlic salt, and whatever cheese I could find in the fridge. Broiled to ensure some good browning on the cheese. That sounds great to me. That sounds like a really good early pizza. Love that garlic salt on there, and just the any cheese angle. You know, it's like whatever you can find in the fridge. And that was pizza, and I'm sure it was delicious. Another great one I thought was also an English muffin pizza. When I want to flash back to my youth, I make some leftover chicken. I make a quick barbecue chicken English muffin pizza topped with barbecue sauce, chicken, mozzarella, cheddar, and parm. So 2 cheeses, pretty fancy. And bake until gooey and the parm is a bit frico, that crunchy texture on top. And then sprinkle with cilantro. So that was totally off in another direction. Again, I'm sure it's delicious. That sounds great. All right, so let's get into some of the questions. The first one was a clarification. I saw a couple of people ask about the actual fermentation. So we've gone back and we've added the post to a link to the recipe that I'm actually talking about in that video. So hopefully that clears things up. But I want to just state it here just to be clear. So you go to the food processor with your mixture like you see there. So your flour, your water, your salt, your yeast, and a little bit of oil, and blend that up. And then that goes directly into the fridge for up to 3 days. So definitely overnight, you're going to get a lot of the benefits of the fermentation in terms of that protease enzyme access. In terms of that protease enzyme activity to soften that gluten up a little bit and some of the flavor development. So overnight is great. 3 days is really, kind of the upper end of that recipe where you still get incredible texture, really great flavor. So 3 days is totally cool to go that way, but that's all in the fridge. There was some question about whether it should be done partially on the counter. The only counter stuff that happens is after that fermentation time, you take it out of the fridge and you want to let it warm up on the counter for at least an hour. That's not really any fermentation going on to speak of at that point, or anything that's making any noticeable difference in it. It's really about making that dough more workable. So the closer it is to room temperature, the warmer it is, the easier it will be to stretch. So that's the clarification there. That dough that I showed that's on the counter, for an hour or something like that, that has those huge carbon dioxide bubbles in there, I really use that as just a point of comparison to say, when you do it fast at room temperature, you skip by a lot of that really awesome activity that produces great texture and flavor, and you go directly to gas production. And that, looks impressive, but the dough that you make out of that, the pizza you make out of that won't be as nice as the cold fermentation. Okay, so that's a clarification. Next up, I want to talk about baking stones versus baking steels. So there's a lot of questions around those, and I talk about both of them in the video. Both of them work great. They're a little bit different. So first off, I want to talk about why I put them where I put them in the oven. So if you notice, when I talk about using a baking stone, I talk about putting that on the top rack of your oven, which someone stated is a little bit different than what their manufacturer says. Most will say to put it at the bottom of the oven. So the reason that they say to put it at the bottom is most ovens, their heating element is at the bottom. So that's going to heat the stone up really, really well. The only problem with that is when you put the pizza in, yes, the stone will be super hot and the bottom will get really crispy, but you have all of this airspace above the pizza that is a lot less hot than the stone itself. And that is going to take a lot longer to kind of melt all the toppings and get any browning on top than the bottom will. So you'll get the bottom perfect, the top you may not even melted all the cheese. It's definitely not going to be nice and brown and spotty like it is in the video. So by moving that pizza stone to the top rack, you essentially shrink your oven down to what is basically a pizza oven, one of those deck ovens you see when you go to the pizza shops. And so what you're doing there is you're heating the stone up, and then when you put the pizza in, you get a lot of reflected radiant heat off the top of the oven. So that's able to actually brown, melt, and do all that great stuff on top, a bit more in line with the heat that's coming from the stone below. And because you've preheated that stone in a 500-degree oven, it doesn't need to be at the bottom to be that hot. It will be that hot right at the top. So you want to shrink your space there. When I use the steel, I put it about halfway down, and that's really going to depend on the strength of your broiler. Because remember, with that steel, it transfers heat faster than the stone, which is it's a huge benefit essentially. You can cook the pizza faster, you get better charring, better crisping in less time, so you keep the interior of the dough really, really moist and nice, but you get really great browning on the bottom. It's so fast that if you just put it into a 500-degree oven, the steel will crisp and brown that bottom. It's going to be perfect, and the top is not going to be done. So that's why we use the broiler to match the output of the bottom there. And the middle rack on the ovens that I was using works perfectly. You may need to adjust a little up or down depending on the strength of your broiler, but you kind of want to match that output. There was another question just generally about baking steels, how they compare to stones. So that speed is really a big element of it. And we find that if you're baking a lot of breads, like a traditional bowl-shaped bread, the steel can actually over-brown the bottom of a bread pretty easily before the exterior looks really nice. So generally, when we're doing breads, we still stick with a baking stone. But for things like pizza, flatbreads, where you're not trying to cook this entire thing through, they're much, much thinner, the steel is really nice. The steel is also great. You can transfer it over to your grill and use it as a griddle. You can heat it in different ways. It's not going to crack like a stone. So I have one of both at home. If I had to just choose one, I'm more of a pizza maker than a baker. So I would probably go for just the steel. But anyway, that's kind of the difference there. So I hope that helps. Okay, next up, I want to talk about that peel that I was using to put the pizza in the oven. That is, it's called a super peel, and so it's basically a piece of canvas that wraps around a wooden peel. It kind of goes through a slot, and you have a little handle where you can slide the canvas back and forth. And what you do is when you first get it, you impregnate it with a little bit of flour, get flour in there, then you can put your dough on that, and it's unbelievable. It just will not stick. You can stretch your pizza out. You can actually pick the pizza up off the counter with that action of the canvas. I wish I'd done that in the video, but you can put it next to it and then slide back and actually pick the dough right up off the counter. And it's that same motion in reverse that allows you to put it onto your steel or onto your stone. It's so good that you can make your pizza, put it on there, and leave it for 20 minutes, come back, and it won't stick at all. So if you've ever had trouble with trying to launch your pizza in on a floured peel, and it sticks, or you're just not fast enough, that takes a little bit of skill and time to get down. The super peel is fantastic. I would totally highly recommend it. We've tested it in the test kitchen, and we really love it. You don't need to wash the canvas. In fact, you can if you get a ton of sauce on it. But for the most part, you just want to leave it with a little bit of flour on it, put it away, bring it out next time. It's good for loading bread also into the oven. So that's my recommendation there. Okay, and then final part of that is also related to peels. Some folks were asking whether how you were getting it in and out without making a mess out of it, and if I was using parchment. And I was not using parchment. And parchment, you see a lot of times people will do it out onto the parchment and then transfer the whole thing to the stone. And it's definitely an easy thing to do because you just pick up the parchment, put it on, and when you're done, you can take the parchment off it. We have found that parchment will trap some moisture, so you tend to not get as crisp of a bottom, as nicely browned of a bottom using that method. So I would highly recommend, if you don't have a peel, an actual peel, you can use a cookie sheet or an overturned rimmed baking sheet. Just flour generously, and you just want to work quickly at that point because it can tend to start to stick to whatever you're working with. So I would recommend that over using the parchment and actually transferring it. But if that's your last resort and it gets the pizza in the oven, go with the parchment. Because the end, all of this is about eating great pizza. So anyway, I hope that helps. Thank you guys so much for all of the questions and all the feedback. I saw one more vote in there for Dan 2020, which I, again, really appreciate. I just can't do it right now. I got all these videos to work on. So anyways, tune in this Saturday for our next one, and yeah, I'll see you around. Thanks.